How are you, James?
Good. Hello, and everyone. Welcome to another Top Agent Commercial Wednesday. This is a big one. This is what I love. I just came back from Colombia behind the scenes with Shirley, Cesar, Doug. We were just talking about being global, traveling global, making friends around the world, just these opportunities, right? But I think Cesar, you said fun. I think Shirley, we all said fun, right? We do
Yeah.
enjoy it and it is fun, but you have to understand there is tremendous opportunities, abilities, and each one of these great leaders who've just been around for such a long time will be sharing their organizations, their experience, and then we'll just be talking about how everyone can learn to go global, learn to even in the US where everyone else travels around the world. But in the US, at least you can connect, get educated, plug into these large networks so you can be a part of this world. And really, when you start traveling, having a friend, I would say this is the best thing that I made friends with so many Uber drivers, and because a lot of them were real estate agents because of the different laws and rules, but you learn about it because different people's economic situations. They were engineers, they were accountants, they were teachers, but they supplemented their income by being Uber drivers. So it is exciting to go deeper and not judge a book by its cover and assuming anything, but really traveling, or at least with these three great organizations, learning how to plug in, get knowledge, and then, like I said, take an opportunity to travel to these beautiful countries, get to know the people, the culture. And yes, you're going to do business when you build the friendships and relationships. So, first, Shirley, I want you to introduce yourself and your organization, and then we'll go with Doug and then Cesar. But thank you again for sharing your global experience with everyone. Shirley?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Shirley Johnson Boyd. I am the president of FIOPSI USA chapter. FIOPSI is an international real estate organization that encompasses all disciplines in real estate, brokers, developers, private wealth people. And we network globally, truly globally. We go around the world. We have international events. Um, and James was just mentioning about having friends all over the world. I was on my way to Africa and had a layover in Belgium. And one of the members of FIOPSI saw I posted it on Facebook, and she posted, she said, "Oh, you're in Belgium? I'll come get you. How long is your layover?" And that's about friendships. And that's what FIOPSI does. It's about friendships and networking with people all around the world because real estate is a relationship business. And that's what FIOPSI gives you, international relationships. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Doug?
Great to meet you, Shirley. And James, that picture of you in the hand, I'm not sure where that was. That is a classic.
Medellin, yeah, what is it? Comuna 13. This is where, if you look back, where I think about 20 years ago, they were fighting in the hills. This is where the government went in, and if you look, it is a beautiful location now, but it was a bloody history where it was a stronghold and people had to fight. But Doug, they made it, and it's one of those, like everything else, like Wynwood, graffiti art, and they allow it. Like in Bogota, I mean, you just have to be there to learn. But it was great, Doug. Thank you. But yeah, if you want Medellin, and we'll talk about how to be safe while you travel globally. But that's where it was at.
Yeah, a global chamber is, as James know, he's on our global board, is a global organization in 525 plus chapters. I started it 10 years ago after retiring from the DuPont company. So all I know how to do is business. So trade and exporting, and I've lived in Japan and speak Japanese and lived in Singapore and speak Singlish, and love to travel 65 countries, 49 of the 50 states, from New York originally, living in LA, and our headquarters is in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's designed for people who want to do global business. Real estate is part of global business. And as James always talks about, it's the heart. And it's always involved. When companies are moving into a new area with foreign direct investment, they need a place to set up. They need a place to live, for their employees and others. And so real estate always plays a role, even with exporting. When people are exporting, they're setting up in these other countries. And so real estate plays a role there as well. So that's what we do. And it's a recognition that, yes, we're all from somewhere. And usually we affiliate with a country. I'm a German Polish American. But we also should be, or I think, be considering ourselves as part of the global tribe, that there's a thread that connects us all. And so if we do business together, we're negotiating, we're mediating, we're making the world a better place. And that's what we're looking to do. The good news is we're everywhere and we're involved in every market segment. That could also be the bad news. We're not focused in only on real estate. We have a lot of businesses and exporters involved. That can be fun, or it could be a challenge depending on what your perspective is. We think it's a lot of fun. Thanks, James, for making it even more fun.
Thank you, Doug. And thank you for your leadership and vision to put this together. I think it is the largest virtual global chamber, or just the largest chamber of everyone. So this is exciting with everyone's organization. We'll go deeper. But Cesar, with NAR Global, and you also are a CIPS instructor too. So you know it. You teach this to everyone.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Jim. Yes, I started working with at my parents' business. I think I was 6 or 7 years. So I grew up in business. I always work in business, private businesses, small businesses. So anything in my life is around businesses. And I came to real estate a few years ago, and I think about 16 years ago. And I started looking around, and most of my colleagues, they were great to represent buyers and sellers and great in trading, great brokers. And I was asking, what about your business? And the response early in my years, it was like, well, I work for this brokerage. I represent this client. And I was asking, no, what about your business? Your business is your name, LLC. So since then, I was very interested in sharing, teaching, and learning from each other. So I became a CIPS instructor. NAR Global is in 100 organizations around the world in about 77 countries. NAR is the leading organization globally, where many countries, they have a structure, many others, they're starting. They don't have licenses, or they don't have MLS systems, or they don't have the platforms. So most of them, they want to see what NAR is doing. One example is the collaboration. In the US, we have MLS, and it's pretty much mandatory that we collaborate. In some other countries, there's no exclusivity, and there's no private listings or exclusive listings, and collaboration is unthinkable. So that creates a segregation of representation and marketing of the property. So it's very different. So one of the things that we do at NAR Global is to share what we're doing in the USA. A lot of countries are interested. Well, CIPS, Certified International Property Specialist, is the international designation for NAR. And we teach a course. And this class is a designation where it's in 43 countries. And we do it by Zoom, or we go to their place and we teach this designation. The new designees, they learn in the class the basic principles and how to do business globally. And we touch different aspects like, trade, currency, how if someone wants to buy a property in another country, how they're going to send the funds. We teach a little about rules, regulations, and laws. One other aspect that is very, very important is not only systems and protocols, but how we conduct ourselves with different cultures. Asia is completely different than Latin America, completely different than Anglo-Saxon. So we have more protocols. In Asia, we conduct business in a little more formal aspect, right? So if we don't learn that, we can compromise the relationship or start it the wrong way. So it's just basic principles, and having a lot of fun teaching this class. which I personally am a CCIM, so I'm putting a little touch of commercial. There's a lot of interest in many countries getting into commercial, or at least learning the basics in how to represent commercial clients. And I specialized in Latin America and Spain.
Shirley, did you want to add something? Because I saw you unmuted, so please.
Yeah, just a little fun fact that a lot of people don't. I'm a CCIM and a CIPS also, and a lot of people don't know that FIOPSI actually created and started the the CIPS course curriculum and everything, and NAR was just better equipped to take that over and run with the ball with that. So yeah, I absolutely agree. And for residential agents that are getting into commercial, learn the basics, take the basic CCIM class, learn to be what I call buzzword compliant. Commercial brokers are not going to take your call if you're going in with a lot of the emotional skills that are necessary to be successful in residential real estate, but in commercial real estate, they don't. Well, I want to say, yeah, they don't care about that. Either the numbers work or they don't, and you have to be buzzword compliant. You put that in your text, your WhatsApp, your email, and you put those phrases in there. They'll know that you're someone who know what you're talking about, and they'll respond to your call.
And Shirley's an MBA too. She's like loves to study, loves to go through all of it. So Shirley, can you go more into FIOPSI, how you got into real estate and I know you got to be politically correct because you are appointed. And Doug, this is why I said we got to get Shirley involved because with a lot of economic developers and representations of countries, Shirley's one of them. So this is how the global world works together. But Shirley, if you could share a little bit about your journey and how the heck did you, with all of those things, get into real estate, especially commercial?
Um, Well, I started out in New Orleans and I always knew I wanted to do international because being in New Orleans, people come into Mardi Gras and all the events. You meet people from all over the world. And so I thought I was going to be a physician. So I was pre-med chemistry and then I worked at the VA Medical Center and I was like, no, I don't want to do this. And so I ended up getting a master's in chemistry, polymer organic chemistry in Atlanta. And I did some pharmaceutical toxicology research for a while, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Um, and so I took what was called, at that time called a temp position. And I ended up at a bank, and then I ended up at a federal regulatory agency in the financial crisis and closing banks and things like that. And I was like, this is great. I love this. Not the economic implications, but I like the activity and the action and the analysis and stuff. And so I did post-bac work to beef up on finance, accounting, and things like that, economics. Then in the meantime, I moved to Washington, D.C. and got an MBA. Then I got a CCIM. I didn't have a real estate license when I got my CCIM, but I wanted it for the education and the knowledge that CCIMs are called the PhD of commercial real estate. And so I wanted that and I got that. Then I finally got my real estate license and the gentleman who taught the class is like, you don't need a real estate license to do what you want. And I was like, yeah, but I want it. And it's what everyone does. And then on the CCIM, they kept promoting FIOPSI. And I was like, oh, I don't care about that. They kept sending emails and things like that. And it was an affinity benefit. And finally, I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for. I didn't even know I had been ignoring it because FIOPSI is in 70 countries around the world. It's all disciplines in real estate. And the connections and the things that you do in FIOPSI is not like you do anywhere else. I mean, I was just in another country at an event, and it was several of us at a table having lunch, and one person was talking about they had this development deal that they were looking for equity partners, and she was talking about the opportunity. And one of the other people at the table said, "Oh, I'd be interested in that. Can you send me some information on that?" And she did, and lo and behold, they are an equity investor in that opportunity. But had it not been FIOPSI, had it not been at the table, um, there was no way that those two people would have connected. And so that's what FIOPSI does. It gets you at the table and in the room to things that You can't send an email, LinkedIn contact, inquiry or something. You're just not gonna get it. And so that's my journey.
You know, Shirley, I'm so glad because you are the serious practitioner of commercial real estate, finance, business, M&A. And because one thing is globally, FIAPSI are a lot of developers and they're big development projects.
Oh my
If you
God.
don't mind sharing, I know US, you're making these changes to make us a lot more like what's around the world. But can you talk about maybe the Grand Prix and other big things that FIAPSI does? And
Oh my
really
God.
globally, yeah, what they can do with especially developers around the world.
Yeah, developers. I mean, the FIAPSI Grand Prix is the USA competition for exemplary projects in the United States. Um, and the developers and the properties that are awarded that designation has the opportunity to go on to the FIAPSI World Prix d'Excellence competition. And that competition, America, you need to wake up. I don't know, well, I don't know who all listen to this, but I'm just going to say it. America, when I say America, I mean the United States of America, because America is not just the United States. So I just want to be clear with that. I use that interchangeably, but I do understand that America is not just the United States. Um, but we are not represent Asia, man, is all over it. Their development. I was in Singapore and Malaysia. Their developments are awesome. Their developers understand the prestige of the award. Um, and they have a lot of entries into the competition, and their entries are awesome. We were just recently in Lagos, Nigeria for the FIAPSI World Congress. That's an annual event. Nigeria has some developments that, I talked with several people that they should enter into the competition. So, but getting back to the United States, the FIAPSI World Prix d'Excellence it's like the the Academy Awards for real estate, and we have got to get in the game. We have some properties that have won the award throughout the years, and we're hopeful to be even more represented. So any of you guys listening on here, contact me, Shirley at johnsonboyd.com. Let's get in the game. Not that I'm competitive, but I am.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you are. But Shirley, if you could put your contact information, everyone else know this is amazing where the US needs to be in the game. We need to start traveling, getting out there. But Doug, this is why you set up Global Chamber. Remember your epiphany of the old school way of doing chambers instead of trying to grow to what you have 100,000 members. I think 535 or something plus metros and growing. I mean, it's growing so much that you have to rebuild some, platforms, technology, integration of AI, right? Because it's growing so quick and there is a need. But Doug, can you share kind of how this Global Chambers came about, from just the vision of what you were doing, because of your corporate international business?
I appreciate that, Jim. My business background really led us to becoming very transactional in the standpoint of really what we do is we make connections. It's been alluded to here about how real estate is a personal game, and so is business. And the key for many of these, for deals to happen, is early access to people that are trusted, and directly or indirectly. And that's what we do. It's not very glamorous. It's mainly just making connections. And so it's for people who are global, they can play in a lot of different arenas and do work across cultures. And so our tribe, the global tribe, tends to be people who can work across different cultures, and we don't have to do a lot of cleanup work afterwards in terms of making introductions and then like, who was that person? They didn't have any sensibility about showing up on time or whatever the local culture importance is. So our global tribe are people who are professional and ethical and have high standards in every way. And so we love doing that. That was kind of my career, not very glamorous. Funny, Shirley, you'd mentioned polymers. I'm a chemical engineer. and I have 5 patents on making chemical intermediates for polymers. And most of my career with DuPont was in plastics and rubber, and that's how I ended up in Asia. I was going country to country helping people with different business problems, and I realized that I was pretty good at it. I could show up somewhere, I didn't even know who they were, and I just ask a bunch of questions, and being an engineer, I solved some problems and showed up on the Hyundai automotive floor in Ulsan, South Korea, when I was a 20-something young engineer, and solved a few problems and got a lot of pleasure out of that. Fast forward to today, we're doing that for our members and getting them connected in ways, as you mentioned, James, and everywhere in the world. And we've enjoyed connecting you in different places as you travel, whether it's this Colombia visit or in Manila or wherever you end up going. One of the fun things about Global Chamber is as you're traveling, you can just let us know where you're headed, and we can get some introductions to people that you want to meet. And last night I was with Colin Christie, who I know you've met in Manila. So I mean, it's not really glamorous. It's just more around connections, and that's my superpower. And what I try to do is find people around the world who are also well connected and have connecting as a superpower, and that ends up helping a few people.
Oh, and Doug, thank you
I'd
for
just
your.
like to cut
Go ahead.
in. I'm sorry, Doug. Um, for my master's, DuPont was one of for my research, DuPont.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's another connection.
I got to make sure everyone, I know through emails connecting, but see, this is what makes it fun, especially with the leaders. We all plug in. And Doug, that's why I said we got to get Shirley more involved too, because she is with
That
the
would be
DR and others. And we say a lot of that Global Chamber is economic development, supply chain with import export. I mean, it is amazing where real estate is a foundation, but so many parts touch into so many things that all of us do and want to do globally. Doug, you want to add something?
Yeah, no question. And you don't always know where the leads and the contacts, especially on the commercial side, are going to be coming from. It could come from an economic development group. It could come directly from the company that might be looking at, I'm thinking about this or I'm thinking about that. So we end up talking to them about what the options might be, and then connecting them into, very often it is economic development or a lawyer. Very often it's a lawyer. They said, I need to set up in this country. And so they haven't even gotten to the point where, they may have a general idea of what city, but they're at that stage. So we meet a lot of people at that moment. And that's kind of critical from many different perspectives. Hopefully we can influence them in doing some of the right things as a company, but then hopefully we can tie in all of the different players, accounting and legal, other support, HR side of things, make sure people get paid and find staffing and things like that. And of course, find a location for them where they can be successful.
Thank you, Doug. I think Shirley and everyone, this is where you want to connect. They are 3 great organizations. I've been a part of all 3. And you just have to plug in, show up, be involved, be active, be an active participant. Just don't sit around. And you'll see the biggest thing you'll get out of it is building friendship. As Shirley says, she could have lunch, dinner, pick up from anywhere in the world, right, Shirley? And
Right,
everyone
exactly.
plays the global game.
Exactly.
There's nobody
Show
better
up.
than you than connecting James. James is like the super connector, and we had a sponsor, a bank called Altos Bank in San Francisco area, and I mentioned it to James. He says, "Oh, I'm there," and so he flew down from Seattle. He supported it passionately, and turned out there was a real estate company right across the street. He just happened to know everybody over there. So besides his passion and his positivity, he knows everybody. He's a super connector, and really appreciate you, Jim, in so many different ways, including inviting us to speak today. You're amazing.
Doug, thank you. Well, I just love people, right? Connections, friendships. And then the biggest thing is trust. I told people, yes, we have tech, we have AI, we have all this stuff. It's the people you have to build, and the trust, and the right referrals. Because if you're doing, let's say, real estate and investment, the biggest thing that scares most people is you don't trust the person on the other side, right? It's a fund or they look fancy. But if you don't know the person, right, and building that relationship, you won't do business. And then you just look. So we hope that everyone plugs into these three great organizations to start building your global relationships, friendships, travel to the country. And you'll see just an abundance of opportunities pop up. But if nothing less, you're going to have a good friend in the country. But Cesar, I mean, that is why NAR. NAR is that global where everyone wants to be in the US. I know CCIM is tied to it, FIOPSI is tied to NAR. Every group is tied to NAR. So it is a powerful foundation. And many of us have served in different capacities with NAR or different parts and affiliates. So, with NAR, can you just share kind of the journey, the stories, and the influence and power of NAR Global, but NAR in general, of how it taps in because of the US market?
Of course, definitely, Jim. And NAR provides the resources and the tools and the systems, but it's up to us to get connected. It's like when we go to a conference, we can get 1,000 booklets, but if we come back home and we put them in a drawer, nothing gets gained from that conference, right? And we were told many years ago that nothing replaces belly to belly. When I introduce Jim to someone in Latin America, I always tell them, I'm going to introduce you to Jim Wang, and he knows half of the world's population. So if you need a connector, pretty much you found it. But it's very important because we never know where the next deal is going to come, the next relationship. This is Commercial Wednesday. So for the guests who are strictly commercial and they say, I don't have any commercial international business, or my scope of influence in international market is very limited. I remember many years back when we had in the late 1990s and 2000s the internet boom, and everybody was saying, "Well, remember the 2000 year when we were expecting the computers to shut down, and we go through those phases, right?" Well, AI is here and is here to stay. And I always tell my friends, Asia is coming and is coming strong. I agree with Shirley. US is in a privileged position, but I think we're taking it for granted. Some countries are very, very aggressive. Mexico, Latin America, Asian, mostly Chinese infrastructure and investments, they're very, very strong. And we never know where we're going to be. If we're in front of the crowd, most likely we're going to have first time news. We're going to be in the play. So we never know whether we're in Georgia, Nebraska, Oklahoma, or California. We need to see what's happening firsthand information. So the more involved we get, the more participation we have, the more chances we have to capture. One example, I have a good friend and he's my client, and he's a consultant. He used to work for the federal government and now he's a consultant. And he just sent me a text this morning, and we all read the news this weekend, but I had no idea that he was part of his consulting job. And he texted me and he says, I'm working with Elon Musk and he's investing $16 billion in AI semiconductors plant in Texas. So let's talk about real estate opportunities. You never know when something is going to happen. Probably nothing will happen, probably something, but we need to get involved. NAR has all the resources. As I said, 100 organizations, 77 countries. But if we don't get involved and if we don't participate and if we don't get designations, we're going to watch the game from the fence, right? And that is why it's so important. I see every time I'm teaching a Zoom or class or something with different countries, everybody wants to come to US. Absolutely everybody, all the investors. US is the magnet for investments, but it's competitive. We have a lot of competition in different places. And I don't see as much as before US investments, let's say in Costa Rica or Colombia, because different issues, economical, political issues, but someone else is getting there. Someone else is getting great returns, is getting first chance in the developments. So we need to be part of the action because everybody here can get involved and we can take a little slice of the pie.
Shirley, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, when Cesar, when you said Georgia, something else people are going to notice once you start being international. When you say Georgia, I have to go in my mind and try to get the context of what Georgia you're talking about. Is it Georgia like Atlanta, Georgia, or is it Georgia, Tbilisi, Batumi, Georgia? So that's another thing that's going to happen naturally once you start getting in this global arena.
You know, and this is the exciting thing that everyone says, because of the changes in government, the world, you do need to leverage, get knowledgeable with these organizations, because it will allow you to be bigger than you are, even your company, right? Not everyone doesn't have everything. Everyone has different regions, specific countries, even down to the local cities. And even when I went to Colombia, they were saying the Chinese are coming in. They're bringing a lot of the infrastructure, building their metro system. And I like, what? But there's not a lot of Chinese, but you have to also perception because they think they're communists. And of course, Latin America, they come by communists they didn't like so much. But these are the things you wouldn't know unless you join these organizations to learn and having these guest speakers and then plug in. Surely, something else to add.
So when you mention about China and doing a lot of infrastructure work and things like that, South America, I don't know if people know, but Paraguay is the only country, a little small country, kind of like in the middle of South America, where Chinese investment is not. So I say that to say the United States, Americans, the USA, because it's more United States than just the USA. We've got to get with it. We've got to get with it. There are a lot of opportunities. Africa, man, we haven't even touched on Africa. There's so much opportunities in Africa. Public-private partnerships, commercial real estate, residential development, all kinds of investment in Africa. We are sleeping on that.
Doug, you want to add? I know you're ready on Wendy's because she brought up Africa. I know Global Chamber's there.
We are. We just had our Global Chamber India monthly cross metro meetup just a half hour or so ago over the last couple hours. And India and Africa, just personally for me, Global Chamber's been around for 10 years. If I do the right things health wise, I think I've got another 20 years, if everything, God willing, including. And in those 20 years, I hope and expect that what we'll see is an amazing amount of progress in both of those regions. Those are probably our highest two areas because of population growth, because of the potential. The 54 countries of Africa, we just had an event a couple weeks ago with the president of Tanzania and the president of Zanzibar, a Global Chamber event in Dar es Salaam, where we're talking about Gateway to Africa, and we have others planned similarly over the next several years. There's just so much opportunity there. There's not a lot of funding relative to some other markets, but there's certainly a lot of opportunity and vice versa. I think to Shirley's point, the world is our onion. And if you take a look at, you didn't say that, but I guess that's my bad way of saying that really for those of us that have that global view, we can take advantage of those opportunities and hopefully help along the way. Africa in particular, when I think about what's happening in Africa now, it reminds me a little bit of about way Mexico was 15 or 20 years ago, where there wasn't a nearshoring IT development anywhere near, like it was almost non-existent, but public-private partnerships with universities and companies said, look, let's get professors to teach technology. Let's market to students and universities to get trained in technology. Let's have companies sell these people when they graduate their consulting services into the US in a higher value market. And the ecosystem to be able to do that created a multi-billion-dollar industry of nearshoring into the United States. The same thing is happening in Africa today. And so this cross-migration of activity and business, once again, the history of the world, trade has driven change. People get cloistered into these little areas and think the whole world exists around a 1 square mile area. that's not the world we know, right? The world is very open, and trade and airports and flying and innovative people like all of you are driving change. And that's all we're trying to do, Jim, as you know.
Thank you. Cesar, do you want to add? Because Latin
Yes.
America, like Africa, I mean, these regions, opportunities, and it's great to travel and meet people, but go ahead, Cesar.
They're just booming. Internet connected us. AI is transforming us. Two examples. It doesn't make any sense to me that US is right next to Mexico. In Mexico, maybe 2.5 hours driving south from the US-Mexico border, we have Chinese industrial parks. We have Chinese retail. We have Chinese investor. I was in Monterey, which is about 2 hours away last year. At the restaurant of the hotel restaurant, I saw Korean, they have a Kia plant. I saw a Polish, they have a John Deere plant. I saw so many international folks from different plants. So in Mexico City, it's just crazy. It's a multicultural diversity. And in the US, we don't see that. We see that we're the receptors of foreign investments, but someone is getting very, very aggressive. Two examples right next door, Mexico. There's the Yucatan Peninsula that connects with the rest of the country. There's a little stretch of land. This is a plan. There's nothing in concrete. But the plan is to create 2 ports on each side where ships will come, unload the containers, move them by train, and load them on the other side. This will completely change the Panama Canal perspective. It's complete. Who's investing? Who's digging into this plan? China. It should be the US. First-hand interest is we're sleeping on the wheel. And nearshoring. Nearshoring right now is a little different time, challenging times, the tariffs, etc. But it's going to stay. Nearshoring, tons of Asian investment coming to Mexico, manufacturing right next door. So everybody here in this call, if they find any interest in getting connected with international, I'm pretty sure all three of us can put them in contact with different resources. And I think one fun fact, I think the universe aligned us because I'm a marine biochemist engineer as well. That's my so,
in the India call that we just had, there were mostly Indians on the call, and apparently the tariff now is 25%, and there's some penalty. I can't follow it every day, or else my mind shuts off. It's just too painful to have things going on like they are today, and I'm just hopeful. I'm an optimist, so hopefully it gets resolved. But so I did some apologies from a U.S. perspective, and I think people want to do the right thing. But I will say this, Cesar, to reinforce and also maybe hopefully give us some hope, is that one of the reasons why I started Global Chamber, because I was living in Phoenix and I felt, oh my God, there's nothing global here. I mean, yes, there's some talk about Mexico, but nobody's talking about global. It was so like mind blowing being from New York and living internationally. The good news is everybody today is talking about global. That has dramatically changed. And there's major investments like in the semiconductor industry with TSMC in Arizona, as an example, that are driving investment that can't be undone. The interdependence of those industries require that there can't be tariffs, not any crazy. It needs to be managed in a more logical way. So it'll work out. This morning I said, there have been worse times. World War II was a bad time. There have been horrible times in history. However, generally, we're making progress. Technology and business are driving progress, and there's no going back. Kofi Annan said, you can argue with globalization, but arguing against it is like arguing against the laws of gravity. You can't stop it.
I want to open this up because I think we may have people that may have a question. If you do, please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll just keep going. But it is this global world, and it can't be so much US centric because it biases you how things work. Many people around the world want to stay out of this. They just want to do business and global
Right.
and trade and other business. So you have to be mindful. As Shirley says, don't watch the news so much, or just be careful, because otherwise I wouldn't have went to Colombia. It was beautiful. There was no danger. Just like every major city, just don't be stupid. Don't go running into a neighborhood you shouldn't go. Don't be flashing your cash and being an idiot. You wouldn't do that in LA. You wouldn't do that in New York, right? You just don't do that. So, is there any questions from anyone? Otherwise, we'll keep sharing. But if the speakers, if you could all share your organization again and your contact information, we definitely want people to join, see from what everyone's doing. I actually added the Global Chambers Real Estate roundtable that we have. So anyone, if you guys all join, we'll just have a recap and everyone share, because to us, it's abundance. The world is so much bigger, and working together makes it a better place, and it solves a lot of problems as we work as one world.
A lot of people gain their career and their business by being insular, and that is okay at a micro level. But at a macro level, I think certainly this is the Global Chamber perspective: is that it takes a village, and for us to get to the next level from a world perspective, we need to collaborate. There's honestly tens of thousands of chambers of commerce in the world. We're the only one that is global. And James, I think you were part of the conversation the other day. It always blew my mind that there were 40 chambers of commerce in Phoenix, Arizona. It's like, okay, I can get being a member of the Gilbert Chamber of Commerce, and especially if you're a real estate agent, for on a residential side, you got to meet people face to face. But if you're doing business across regions, one city. And what came up in the Global Chamber Los Angeles meeting chapter recently was that in the LA area, there's 440 chambers of commerce. Great, God bless them. But if you want to do business internationally, there's one place to go. And I'm really happy to find these other two groups. And I definitely, both Cesar and Shirley, I look forward to circling back with you, because it does take a village.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I just like to point out one thing to the residential people online. Cesar was talking about what Elon Musk is doing, and Doug talked about, the different industries that are coming to those cities, counties. Well, that's something for you as you transition, if you choose to transition or bifurcate into residential and commercial. When those companies or industries are coming to your area, that's jobs, and that means people are going to be buying homes. So there's something for you here also. It's something here for everyone. There's enough to go around. In CCIM parlance, we call that basic employment. Right, Cesar?
Definitely. And I would like to add, if someone on the call feels like a little off, like, this is not my market, I would like to make a suggestion and invite you. US is drawing a ton of foreign investment. Why? Because it's a safe haven, right? It's a safe place. We have a stability. We have issues like any other country, but it's stable. I haven't seen any investor losing all the capital here. It happens in some other countries, devaluations, political environment, etc. If you have a developer, connection with a developer, if you're working with a project and you want to feature that, please let us know. There's so many sources to do outreach, making connections with investors, foreign investors. I've been working personally with a investors visa program for about 15 years. And everybody's getting confused because we're watching news way too much. We need to turn off the TV. First of all, the news channels not always feature the news the way it is. Sometimes it's a little tweaked based on the ratings. Immigration visa is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Undocumented migration to US is changing. We're talking investment visa. And many of you may not know, we have about 17 types of visa. And we know EB5 is the most popular, right? 850,000 investment, 10 job creation, and 5 years retention, and then you get a citizenship. Well, there's about 17. But investors visa, we pretty much work with 3. EV1, EV2, and EV5. If you have a developer, there's always finding an angle. You're working with a developer and he or she says, find me investment. They're not specifically say, find me an investment from LA, find me investors who are interested. There's so many angles. We can get capital funding using visa programs, great returns on investment. You develop the program or the project. I mean, so many connections. The world is huge. And if someone has something that they want to feature to other countries, please let us know and we'll be happy to put you in contact.
Well, as
And
everyone
an
says,
example of that, Cesar, is Japan. The Japanese economy is just so, but the amount of investment that Japan is doing, foreign direct investment, is at record levels. You know, for us old people, we remember back when some Japanese investor bought Pebble Beach, and at that point, the Japan holistically was investing $18 billion into the US. And that was horrific to Americans. They was like, we have to stop this. They're taking over the United States. Last year, it was 60 billion. So at 18 billion, it was horrific a couple decades ago. Last year, it was 60. Next year, it's going to be probably $100 billion based on estimates. Japan is in full time. And so, as you know, Jim, from Southern California and the work that you're doing here with Brian Swords on our board, he's Mr. Connected to Japan. We're planning to do some particular specific activities related to Japan because of the high influx from Japan, from Taiwan, because of TSMC and others. A lot of activity going on that's positive. Cesar mentioned about nearshoring. Similarly, where there's investors for manufacturing coming into either the US or into Mexico, and we're just trying to keep our head above water to be able to take care of all the incoming activity. It's a lot of fun.
oh, I love this global call. Asuko Yube, hello. Can you share from Japan? So she goes back and forth to Japan, born in Japan. So Asuko, if you don't mind sharing from Japan, what's going on?
Oh my God, you're putting me on the spot.
Of course I am.
Oh my God, good morning, everyone.
Tabashi desu ka?
Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, I came back from Japan not too long ago. I've been there like now, what, 4 times? I guess. So I go there every other month now. And so, yeah, so a lot going on in Japan. Of course, the exchange rate is still very, very good against US dollar. And so a lot of traveling into Japan, going and individual people and the corporation money is flowing into Japan, as well as Japanese investors ready to invest in the US. So I've been hosting a lot of groups now here in the Bay Area because I'm based in San Francisco Bay Area and looking for investments. And so I have some listing that's kind of sitting there for couple of years now that I think I can move them. So yeah, please connect me because there are a lot of going on, a lot of opportunities like inbound and outbound. And so yeah, the money is there. And Japanese, they know that they need to go out of the country for the growth and for the stability of course, the currencies. And they want the US like dollar-based investments. And so a lot of opportunities. So connect with me. And I'd like to connect with all of the speakers today. I know PFC because I was just in Thailand for Asia Pacific conference. Great conference. I love Thailand now. I missed Nigeria, and I wish I would have gone there. Sorry, but yeah, FIAPSI is a great organization. Of course, all the NAR connection, CCIM connection, but there's ARIA as well. So don't forget, ARIA Global is a global real estate alliance. I am part of. And we had a big conference in Tokyo this year in May. We had like people from 20 different countries flying into Tokyo. We had over like 200 people that attended the 3-day conference. And then we had the group travel to Osaka and Okinawa, finding different opportunities. So this is what we do every year. And we're going to be traveling to different countries and opening a division. So we're now launching a Japan division. And all we do is to connect, just like everybody else, right? And then you find your own connection personally and build the trust. And that's where, you build your own business. So let's connect. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you,
敦
Atsuko.
子
Yes, so
さん、
I'm
敦子さん、お名前は何でしょうか？
敦子、ゆうべ敦子です。日本語できますか？
少しだけ。
すごい。どこであなた
So, what's your last name and what's your company name?
Okay, my last name is Yube, Y-U-B-E. My company name, of course, I'm with EXP Commercial. And I have my own company called Global Estate Link. I kind of brand myself around that, but I am with Jim's group, EXP. What's great about EXP Commercial is that, of course, it's the connection, and also they're licensed in all 50 states, and so
And-
you are able to transact
and
everywhere.
in Japan now. So
And
that's
in
exciting.
Japan, yeah. In Japan, they're launching Japan.
Yeah. So
はじめまして、どうぞよろしくお願いします。
and I appreciate that. So I was with Asuko too when I was president. Asuko was our treasurer. She also was the founding president of the Silicon Valley chapter of ARIA. So all of us know each other. We're all part of it. And FIAPSI, right? Shirley, we're one of our members with FIAPSI and so many other groups. So this is exciting. But I want to call on Karen Smith. You're another global person, Karen. I got to call you. I see you there. Karen.
Hello, how are you? Yeah, I'm a member of FIAPSI, have been for probably since 2018. I'm also on the CIPS advisory board. Yeah, it's great to do global business, meet global people, and the education that you learn just by going to another country or just being in the same room with people who have been to another country and listen to them speak. It's just a fountain of information. It changes. And in all honesty, I never left the United States until I was like 51 or 52. And it opened up a whole new door. Like I have just been traveling ever since. And I've gone places by myself and I'm not afraid to go there by myself at all. Yeah. And Shirley is amazing. So are you, Jim.
Everyone here, let me tell you this.
Yes, everybody. Yes,
Leverage-
everybody.
Leverage this group. This group is such a powerful
Yes.
group. When everyone says, I know everyone, no, I just know people in the right organizations and they connect me. And then it's for you to build friendships, relationships, trust, right? That's what you do. So I really hope everyone connects with everyone here because you're meeting the leaders, people that have been around. And Karen, you do a lot of NAR stuff. I mean, everyone overlaps so much with each other. But this is a core group. You can see it's friendship, it's relationships that we built here. And then we extend it globally with all our other friends. So I encourage everyone, leverage this group, leverage everyone who's on this call, because most people I do know. And I'm like, this is a great group. If you want to get to know the world, right here, you got it. So make sure everyone throw out your emails and everything so you can connect with each other, because this is the whole point. But Shirley, let's close up. How can people be, let's say, global or be connected? So if you can add some advice.
Get out of your comfort zone and just go. It really is safe out there. I mean, with normal precautions, get out and go. When you see these events online or people tell you about a trade mission or something, just go. It doesn't matter if you don't know anyone. I went to my first trade mission. I knew no one, but it was to Panama, and I was like, well, how bad could it be? I asked them what hotel they were going to be in. I booked the same hotel, and I didn't meet them until I got there. So just go. You can always come home, but you need your passport. Okay.
I love that. just get your passport, nowadays. So that's great advice. Doug?
Jump in. I think people, this happens in business too. People talk about doing stuff. We're not talkers, we're doers. And our whole focus at Global Chamber is to make global business as simple as possible. And in fact, our mission is making business across regions and borders just as easy as doing it across the street. To be able to do that, you've got to be comfortable with culture. You have to be able to be comfortable with discomfort, because talking to people you don't know, especially with different culture and different food and different clothes and different ways they do business and they negotiate and they mediate, if you're okay with that, this is the time to get involved with global business, and we're here to help. And I'm just real happy that all of you have that same passion around collaboration. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Doug. Cesar?
Thank you. Everybody's here in a business, in the real estate business. Everybody has to pay the bills, but we're in the business of service as well. Like Doug say, in the collaboration. One example is never forget about residuals. What I mean with residuals, I'm working with a developer who has a hotel project, and I'm going to collaborate with my peers, and I'm going to sell this project. Well, quick question, just an example. I have a contact with a developer. He's going to retire. He wants to go away. He wants to play golf. And one quick question maybe, so when are you planning to retire? I was in Europe a few weeks ago. Portugal, Spain, and Greece, they're getting flooded with Americans. Greece, as an example, Greece has a golden visa program for 250,000 euros. You can buy a house. As long as it qualifies, you get a visa. But we're not a part of that because we're not involved. It's so easy. If someone is a business broker selling a business and his or her client is going to retire and they want to go to Europe and they want to retire in Portugal, or they want to live 6 months of the year there, you can be a part of the transaction, just asking the right questions and connecting to the right people.
And France
Thank you.
won't tax your Social Security or your pension, so Portugal's gonna take your money anyway.
See, but you got to learn. See how you can live around the world, get dual citizenship, what the rules and laws. And I just want to add this. Traveling the world is fun. Leveraging with these relationships to understand cultures. And Terry Morrison with the book is awesome. We just have to, Shirley, right? We all know, Terry. We just got to bring
Kiss,
down the
bow,
price.
shake hands.
Yeah, when she speaks, we just got to bring down the price. Maybe collectively, we're all her friends. We can bring down the price. But this is what's the important. In America, it's expensive, but doesn't mean you have to be stuck in America too. You can go around the world where the currency exchange, the quality of life, the security, the language, the healthcare, which I always say we're gray hair, no hair, dyed hair, right? And so nowadays it's very different, but it's exciting. So please connect with everyone here. Please connect with these trade organizations, with FIAPSI, Global Chamber, NAR Commercial. Be trained with CIPS. It's for those that are in residential. It's easy, it's simple. And then there's more down the rabbit hole for all of us to get together as one big global tribe and friends and culture together as people. This is great. So again, thank you everyone for joining us on Top Agent Commercial Wednesday. And thank you to our guests. Please connect, please. And you will find a lot of fun. And especially, we can't work forever. We get to travel. I know, Shirley. Let's get our passports. Let's get out there. Thank you, Shirley, Doug, Cesar. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.